Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and every single energy bill on Earth has been reduced to zero. Forever. The power grid hums with limitless electricity. Manufacturing plants run continuously without ever worrying about operational costs. Deserts bloom into agricultural paradises powered by massive desalination plants. And humanity takes its first real steps toward becoming a spacefaring civilization. This isn't science fiction anymore. We're standing at the precipice of an energy revolution that could fundamentally transform every aspect of human existence. But what would actually happen if we cracked the code on unlimited clean energy? How would it reshape our world, our economy, and our future as a species? I'm about to take you on a journey through the most mind-bending transformation our planet has ever seen. We'll explore how unlimited clean energy wouldn't just change how we power our homes, but how it would revolutionize manufacturing, agriculture, transportation, and even our ability to reverse climate change itself. By the end of this exploration, you'll understand why energy abundance might be the single most important breakthrough in human history. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. We're closer to this reality than most people think. In 2022, scientists achieved something that sounded impossible just decades ago. They created a nuclear fusion reaction that produced more energy than it consumed. We're talking about nearly 4 million times more energy than coal, oil, or gas, using fuel that can be derived from substances as simple as water. But before we dive into the revolutionary technologies bringing us closer to this reality, let's start with something that might surprise you. Clean energy sectors already drove 10% of global GDP growth in 2023. That's right. Renewable energy alone added around $320 billion to the world economy last year. And that's just the beginning. The ripple effects of unlimited clean energy would start with manufacturing, but they wouldn't stop there. Imagine steel production, aluminum smelting, and chemical synthesis running continuously without fuel costs. Processes that are currently too energy-intensive to be economically viable would suddenly become standard practice. The entire global supply chain would reshape itself around energy abundance rather than energy scarcity. Here's where it gets really interesting. Manufacturing industries would benefit from something we've never seen before in human history. Truly automated production lines running 24/7 with energy costs essentially eliminated. Quality control processes that require massive amounts of power would become cost negligible. The location of manufacturing would no longer be determined by proximity to energy sources, but purely by logistics and labor considerations. But manufacturing is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's talk about what unlimited clean energy would do to transportation, because this is where things get absolutely wild. Transport currently accounts for more than a third of carbon dioxide emissions from end-use sectors. In 2023, petroleum products accounted for about 89% of total United States transportation sector energy use. With unlimited clean energy, that entire system flips overnight. Electric vehicles wouldn't just become popular, they'd become universal. Charging infrastructure powered by abundant electricity would appear everywhere. But here's the kicker. Aviation and shipping, which currently seem impossible to fully electrify, could utilize synthetic fuels produced through energy-intensive processes that would finally become economically viable. Think about it. Hydrogen production through electrolysis, which is currently expensive because of energy costs, would become dirt cheap. Heavy-duty trucking, shipping, and aviation sectors could all run on hydrogen. 40% of global transportation that cannot be electrified could suddenly access clean synthetic fuels. High-speed rail networks would become economically attractive globally because unlimited energy eliminates operational cost concerns. Urban transportation would be revolutionized with electric public transit, autonomous electric vehicles, and new transportation modes like Hyperloop systems that were previously too energy-intensive to be practical. But wait, there's more. And this is where unlimited clean energy starts to sound like something from a utopian dream. Agriculture would undergo a complete transformation through water desalination. The energy intensity of desalination has already improved dramatically, dropping from 20 to 30 kilowatt hours per cubic meter in 1970 to about 3 kilowatt hours per cubic meter in 2018. With unlimited clean energy, even that barrier disappears entirely. Here's a mind-blowing statistic. United States farms consume over 83 million acre-feet of irrigation water every year. That's more than 27 trillion gallons, making agriculture the second most water-intensive industry in the country after thermoelectric power. With unlimited clean energy, massive desalination plants could turn seawater and brackish groundwater into agricultural irrigation, literally transforming desert regions into productive farmland. Recent systems have already demonstrated the potential, harnessing over 94% of electrical energy from solar panels to produce up to 5,000 liters of water per day despite weather variations. Scale that up with unlimited energy, and you're looking at agricultural possibilities that would make current farming look primitive. Vertical farming and controlled environment agriculture would become economically competitive with traditional farming. The energy costs for LED lighting and climate control that currently make these systems expensive would become negligible. We could grow food anywhere, in any climate, year-round, with perfect conditions. Now, let's talk about something even more ambitious: climate engineering. Engineers at the University of Illinois Chicago have built what they call an artificial leaf that can capture carbon dioxide at rates 100 times better than current systems. This system needed only a moderate amount of electricity, less than what's required for a 1-watt LED light bulb. With unlimited clean energy, massive direct air capture facilities could operate continuously to remove atmospheric carbon dioxide. These artificial photosynthesis systems could play a key role in fighting climate change, capturing carbon dioxide at 100 times the rate of current technologies. Weather modification through cloud seeding, atmospheric ionization, and other climate engineering techniques would become feasible with unlimited energy. Large-scale reforestation and ecosystem restoration projects could be supported by energy-intensive infrastructure, like automated planting systems and climate-controlled nurseries. But here's where unlimited clean energy gets truly revolutionary: advanced materials and manufacturing. Aluminum and magnesium production, which require enormous amounts of electricity, would become economically viable for widespread use in construction and transportation. Advanced ceramics, carbon fiber composites, and exotic alloys could be mass-produced through high-energy manufacturing processes that are currently cost-prohibitive. Three-dimensional printing and additive manufacturing could scale to industrial levels with unlimited power for lasers, heating elements, and processing equipment. Recycling processes that are currently too energy-intensive would become standard, enabling true circular economy principles where nothing gets wasted. Nanotechnology manufacturing, which requires precise energy-intensive fabrication techniques, could become commonplace. Semiconductor production, currently limited by energy costs in fabrication facilities, could expand dramatically to support ubiquitous computing and artificial intelligence systems. Smart materials and programmable matter could be developed through energy-intensive synthesis processes that are currently too expensive to pursue at scale. And then there's space exploration. With unlimited clean energy, we wouldn't just be looking up at the stars anymore. We'd be reaching for them. Electric propulsion systems for spacecraft could operate continuously, enabling faster interplanetary travel. In-situ resource utilization on other planets would become viable, with energy-intensive processes extracting water, oxygen, and fuel from planetary atmospheres and surfaces. Mars terraforming projects could theoretically begin with massive atmospheric processors powered by unlimited energy. The information technology revolution would accelerate beyond anything we can currently imagine, with unlimited power enabling computational capabilities that would make today's most advanced systems look like pocket calculators. But here's the thing that makes this entire scenario so compelling. We're not just dreaming about distant possibilities. The foundation technologies are advancing rapidly, and the economic momentum is already building. The clean energy sector already employs almost 35 million people worldwide, with renewable energy jobs growing from 13.7 million in 2022 to 16.2 million in 2023. For every dollar invested, renewable energy creates 3 times as many jobs as the fossil fuel industry. This isn't just about environmental benefits anymore. This is about economic transformation happening right now. Nuclear fusion represents humanity's closest approach to truly unlimited energy. Multiple fusion companies and research facilities worldwide are racing toward commercial viability, with some projecting operational plants within the next decade. The fuels for fusion can be derived from substances as abundant as water and lithium, where just a few grams of deuterium and tritium could produce a terajoule of energy. That's approximately what one person in a developed country uses over 60 years. Germany's Wendelstein 7X stellarator has been setting new records for sustained plasma duration and energy output. These aren't theoretical experiments anymore. These are engineering challenges being solved in real time by teams across the globe. But let's zoom out and look at what unlimited clean energy would mean for human civilization itself. We're talking about the elimination of energy as a limiting factor in human progress. Every constraint we currently face that comes down to energy costs simply vanishes. Consider what this means for poverty. Energy poverty affects billions of people worldwide who lack access to reliable electricity. With unlimited clean energy, rural electrification becomes a logistics problem rather than an economic one. Remote communities could access the same energy abundance as major metropolitan areas. Educational opportunities would expand as schools could operate advanced computing systems and internet connectivity without worrying about power costs. Healthcare transformation would be equally dramatic. Medical equipment that's currently too energy-intensive for resonance imaging machines, computed tomography, widespread deployment could be used everywhere. Magnetic scanners and other diagnostic equipment could be available in every clinic globally. Energy-intensive medical treatments like radiation therapy could be accessible regardless of location. The psychological impact of energy abundance shouldn't be underestimated either. Imagine a world where no one worries about energy bills, where heating and cooling your home costs nothing, where transportation is essentially free. The mental bandwidth currently devoted to energy conservation could be redirected toward creativity, innovation, and human connection. Urban planning would undergo a complete revolution. Cities wouldn't need to be designed around energy efficiency. Buildings could be illuminated beautifully without cost considerations. Public spaces could be heated or cooled to perfect comfort levels year-round. Architectural possibilities would expand beyond current limitations imposed by energy consumption. Water scarcity, one of humanity's most pressing challenges, would become obsolete. The energy barrier that makes desalination expensive would disappear, turning every coastline into a potential freshwater source. Rivers could be restored to their natural states as industrial water consumption shifts to abundant desalinated sources. Food security would be revolutionized through controlled environment agriculture. Growing seasons would become irrelevant as crops could be cultivated in climate-controlled facilities year-round. Nutritional optimization would be possible through precisely controlled growing conditions. Food could be produced locally everywhere, eliminating transportation costs and spoilage. The entertainment and media industries would transform with unlimited power for massive server farms, virtual reality systems, and immersive experiences that are currently limited by energy costs. Content creation would democratize further as energy-intensive video production and distribution become accessible to everyone. Scientific research would accelerate exponentially. Particle accelerators, supercomputers, and laboratory equipment that currently consume enormous amounts of electricity could operate continuously. Climate modeling, medical research, and materials science experiments that are currently limited by energy budgets would have no constraints. Ocean exploration would become economically viable with unlimited power for deep-sea vehicles, underwater habitats, and research stations. The 71% of Earth's surface that remains largely unexplored could be systematically studied and potentially developed. Weather prediction and climate monitoring would improve dramatically with unlimited power for atmospheric modeling, satellite systems, and ground-based sensors. Natural disaster preparedness would advance through continuous monitoring and early warning systems. Education would transform as energy-intensive learning technologies become universally accessible. Virtual classrooms, augmented reality, educational experiences, and personalized AI tutoring systems could operate without cost constraints. The digital divide between developed and developing regions would narrow significantly. Mental health and wellness could benefit from energy-abundant healing environments. Light therapy, controlled climate spaces, and other energy-intensive treatments could be widely available. Seasonal affective disorder could become obsolete with abundant artificial lighting systems. But perhaps the most profound change would be humanity's relationship with time itself. Energy scarcity forces us to optimize for efficiency, to rush through processes, to choose between competing priorities. Energy abundance would allow us to prioritize quality over speed, craftsmanship over mass production, and human fulfillment over pure productivity. The circular economy would finally become practical rather than aspirational. Every material could be recycled through energy-intensive processes. Waste would become a design choice rather than an economic necessity. Planned obsolescence would lose its economic justification as durable goods become more cost-effective than disposable ones. International relations would shift dramatically as energy independence becomes universal. Resource conflicts that have driven geopolitical tensions for centuries would lose their foundation. Nations could focus on cooperation and cultural exchange rather than competition for finite energy resources. Yet, with all these transformative possibilities, we must also consider the challenges that unlimited clean energy would create. Human behavior patterns developed over millennia of resource scarcity might struggle to adapt to abundance. Economic systems built around scarcity pricing would require fundamental restructuring. Social hierarchies based on access to resources would need redefinition. The transition period itself would be turbulent as existing energy industries face obsolescence. Millions of jobs in fossil fuel extraction, refining, and distribution would disappear. Entire regions economically dependent on energy production would need massive retraining and redevelopment programs. Environmental impacts from unlimited energy use could be significant even if the energy itself is clean. Unlimited power could enable resource extraction and consumption patterns that strain other planetary boundaries. Careful governance would be essential to prevent unlimited energy from becoming unlimited environmental destruction. But these challenges pale in comparison to the opportunities that unlimited clean energy would unlock. We stand at a threshold unlike any other in human history. The potential for energy abundance isn't just about powering our existing world more efficiently. It's about enabling possibilities we haven't even imagined yet. Human civilization has always been constrained by energy availability. Every major leap forward, from fire to agriculture to industrialization, has been fundamentally about better ways to harness and use energy. Unlimited clean energy wouldn't just be another step in that progression. It would be the final step, removing energy as a constraint on human potential entirely. The question isn't whether unlimited clean energy would transform our world. The question is whether we're ready for the transformation it would bring. The implications stretch far beyond what we can see on the surface. Think about artificial intelligence and computing power. Right now, data centers consume about 1% of global electricity, but with unlimited clean energy, that constraint disappears entirely. We could build AI systems so powerful they make today's most advanced computers look like stone tools. Machine learning algorithms could run continuously without energy budgets, accelerating scientific discovery in ways we can barely comprehend. Imagine quantum computers the size of buildings, running complex simulations of entire ecosystems, weather patterns, or even consciousness itself. The computational power needed to model a human brain requires enormous energy inputs. With unlimited clean energy, we could potentially crack the code of human consciousness and develop AI that truly understands rather than just processes information. But let's get personal for a moment. How would unlimited clean energy change your daily life? Your morning routine would be completely different. Instead of checking energy-efficient appliances, you could wake up in a home that maintains perfect temperature and lighting 24/7. Your coffee maker, dishwasher, and every electronic device could run continuously without a second thought about electricity costs. Your commute would be revolutionized. Electric vehicles with unlimited charging infrastructure would make transportation essentially free, but it goes deeper than that. With unlimited energy, magnetic levitation transportation systems could connect cities at hundreds of miles per hour. Personal flying vehicles, currently limited by battery technology, could become practical for everyday use. Your work environment would transform completely. Office buildings could operate at optimal conditions constantly. Energy-intensive equipment like three-dimensional printers, laser cutting systems, and advanced manufacturing tools could be standard in every workplace. Remote work would be enhanced by unlimited power for high-definition video conferencing, virtual reality meetings, and cloud computing systems. Your entertainment options would explode. Movie theaters could create completely immersive experiences with unlimited power for projection, sound, and environmental effects. Home entertainment systems could rival professional studios. Video gaming would advance to photorealistic virtual worlds running on unlimited computational power. But here's where things get really interesting. Unlimited clean energy would fundamentally change human creativity and innovation. Right now, inventors and entrepreneurs have to consider energy costs in every design decision. With unlimited energy, those constraints disappear. Artists could create massive light installations without worrying about electricity bills. Inventors could experiment with energy-intensive prototypes without economic limitations. Musicians could perform with unlimited amplification and electronic effects. The maker movement would explode into something unprecedented. Community workshops could operate laser cutters, three-dimensional printers, and metal fabrication equipment continuously. Hobbyists could pursue projects that currently require industrial-level energy access. Innovation would democratize as energy barriers to experimentation disappear. Educational institutions would transform beyond recognition. Schools could operate advanced laboratories, computing systems, and fabrication equipment without budget constraints. Students could access the same tools used in professional research facilities. The gap between educational and industrial capabilities would narrow dramatically. Medical education would advance with unlimited power for simulation systems, advanced imaging equipment, and research facilities. Surgical training could utilize high-fidelity simulators running continuously. Medical research could accelerate with unlimited computational power for drug discovery and genetic analysis. Let's talk about something that might surprise you: the psychological effects of energy abundance on human behavior. Scarcity mindset has shaped human psychology for thousands of years. We're hardwired to conserve resources, to worry about running out, to compete for limited supplies. Unlimited clean energy would challenge these fundamental behavioral patterns. People might become more generous with their time and resources when energy scarcity no longer creates artificial limitations. Sharing economy models could expand when the marginal cost of providing services approaches zero. Community cooperation might increase when competition for energy resources becomes irrelevant. But there's also a risk of overconsumption and waste when resources appear unlimited. Human nature tends toward excess when constraints are removed. Careful cultural adaptation would be necessary to maintain sustainable practices even with abundant energy. The concept of work itself would evolve dramatically. Many jobs exist primarily to manage energy scarcity through efficiency optimization, conservation programs, and resource allocation. With unlimited energy, these roles would become obsolete, but new opportunities would emerge in areas we haven't yet imagined. Creative industries would flourish with unlimited power for content production, distribution, and consumption. Entertainment could become more immersive and accessible. Art installations could operate continuously without cost concerns. Performance venues could create spectacular experiences without energy limitations. Service industries would expand as energy-intensive services become economically viable. Personal climate control, customized lighting, and other comfort services could be available everywhere. Luxury experiences currently limited by energy costs could become standard amenities. Research and development would accelerate exponentially. Scientists could run continuous experiments, operate energy-intensive equipment, and pursue long-term studies without budget constraints. The pace of scientific discovery would increase dramatically across all disciplines. Now, let's explore something truly mind-bending: how unlimited clean energy would change our relationship with the natural world. Currently, human civilization exists in constant tension with natural systems. We extract resources, consume energy, and produce waste in ways that strain planetary boundaries. Unlimited clean energy could fundamentally alter this relationship. Reforestation projects could operate on unprecedented scales with unlimited power for automated planting, irrigation, and monitoring systems. Degraded ecosystems could be restored using energy-intensive remediation techniques. Wildlife conservation could benefit from unlimited power for habitat creation, species monitoring, and protection systems. Ocean restoration could become practical with unlimited energy for coral reef regeneration, pollution cleanup, and marine ecosystem management. Underwater farming could supplement traditional agriculture without competing for land resources. Deep ocean exploration could reveal new species and ecosystems we've never discovered. Atmospheric engineering could go beyond carbon capture to active climate management. Weather modification systems could prevent droughts, reduce hurricane intensity, and optimize growing conditions globally. The line between natural and managed environments might blur as we gain the power to actively steward planetary systems. But perhaps the most profound change would be our expansion beyond Earth itself. Space colonization would shift from science fiction to engineering challenge. Unlimited clean energy could power massive spacecraft, life support systems, and terraforming equipment. Mars colonies could be established with energy-abundant manufacturing, agriculture, and atmospheric processing. Asteroid mining would become economically viable with unlimited power for extraction, refining, and transportation systems. The solar system's vast mineral resources could support human expansion without depleting Earth's reserves. Space-based manufacturing could produce materials impossible to create under Earth's gravitational and atmospheric constraints. Interstellar exploration could begin with unlimited energy for propulsion systems, communication arrays, and robotic probes. The dream of reaching other star systems could transition from theoretical possibility to active engineering project. But let's bring this back to Earth and consider the immediate challenges we'd face during the transition to unlimited clean energy. Economic disruption would be massive as existing energy industries become obsolete virtually overnight. Entire regions dependent on fossil fuel extraction would face unemployment crises. Financial markets built around energy commodities would require complete restructuring. Geopolitical realignments would be inevitable as nations lose their energy-based strategic advantages. International relations would shift away from resource competition toward cooperation and cultural exchange. Military conflicts over energy resources would lose their fundamental motivation. Social adaptation would be necessary as human behavior patterns evolved to match new realities. Education systems would need to prepare people for a world where energy scarcity no longer drives decision-making. Cultural values around conservation and efficiency would require re-examination. Infrastructure replacement would present enormous logistical challenges. Existing power grids, transportation systems, and industrial facilities would need comprehensive upgrades or replacement. The transition period could last decades, even with unlimited energy available. Regulatory frameworks would need complete overhaul as current laws and policies assume energy scarcity. Environmental regulations, energy efficiency standards, and resource allocation systems would all require fundamental revision. Yet, despite these challenges, the transformative potential remains extraordinary. We're not just talking about incremental improvements to existing systems. We're talking about a complete reimagining of what human civilization can become when energy ceases to be a limiting factor. The timeline for this transformation is shorter than most people realize. Nuclear fusion technology is advancing rapidly, with multiple approaches showing promise for commercial viability within the next decade. Renewable energy systems are already approaching cost parity with fossil fuels in many markets. Energy storage technologies are improving exponentially, addressing intermittency concerns. Investment in clean energy technologies reached record levels in recent years, driven by both environmental concerns and economic opportunities. Major corporations, governments, and research institutions are committing unprecedented resources to energy transformation projects. The momentum is building toward a tipping point where unlimited clean energy transitions from possibility to reality. The question isn't whether this transformation will happen, but how quickly we can adapt to the changes it will bring. Human civilization stands at the threshold of its most significant transformation since the agricultural revolution. Unlimited clean energy wouldn't just change how we power our world. It would redefine what it means to be human in an age of abundance rather than scarcity. The possibilities stretch far beyond anything we've discussed so far. Technologies we haven't even imagined yet would become feasible when energy constraints disappear. Problems we consider unsolvable might have solutions that are currently too energy-intensive to pursue. This isn't just about environmental benefits or economic growth, though both would be extraordinary. This is about unleashing human potential on a scale never before possible in our species' history. The age of unlimited clean energy is approaching faster than most people realize, and when it arrives, everything changes. But here's where this gets absolutely mind-bending in ways that go beyond anything we've covered so far. With unlimited clean energy, we wouldn't just be transforming existing systems, we'd be creating entirely new categories of human experience that are currently impossible to even attempt. Let's talk about something that sounds like pure fantasy but becomes inevitable with energy abundance: the complete elimination of physical distance as a barrier to human connection. Right now, high-quality telepresence technology exists, but it's limited by bandwidth and processing power constraints. With unlimited energy, we could create holographic communication systems so realistic that being physically present becomes optional rather than necessary. Imagine walking into a room and having a conversation with someone who's actually on the other side of the planet, but the experience is so immersive that your brain can't distinguish between their physical and projected presence. We're not talking about video calls on screens. We're talking about full sensory experiences where you can smell their perfume, feel the warmth of their handshake, and share a meal together despite being thousands of miles apart. This technology would fundamentally alter human relationships and social structures. Families separated by geography could maintain daily intimacy. International collaboration would become as natural as working with someone in the next room. Cultural exchange would accelerate as people could experience other societies firsthand without the time, cost, and environmental impact of physical travel. But let's push this even further. With unlimited computational power comes the possibility of creating digital worlds so detailed and immersive that they become indistinguishable from reality. We're not talking about today's virtual reality, which is impressive but clearly artificial. We're talking about simulated environments that engage every sense with perfect fidelity. These digital realms could serve purposes we've never considered before. Historical education could involve actually experiencing ancient Rome, medieval England, or prehistoric Earth. Scientific research could be conducted in simulated environments that perfectly replicate conditions on other planets, inside molecular structures, or within the human body at cellular levels. The implications for entertainment would be revolutionary. Instead of watching movies, you could live inside stories as an active participant. Instead of reading about adventures, you could experience them with full sensory immersion. The line between reality and fiction would blur in ways that challenge our fundamental understanding of existence itself. Now, here's something that might make you uncomfortable, but is worth considering. Unlimited clean energy could enable us to digitize and preserve human consciousness itself. The energy requirements for mapping and simulating a human brain are currently astronomical, but with unlimited power, these barriers disappear. This isn't about replacing human consciousness or creating artificial beings. This is about preserving the knowledge, memories, and thinking patterns of individuals for future generations. Imagine having conversations with digital versions of history's greatest minds, preserved with perfect fidelity to their original personalities and knowledge. Your great-grandchildren could meet you, not through stories or videos, but through direct interaction with a preserved version of your consciousness that maintains all your memories, personality traits, and ways of thinking. Death would still occur for biological bodies, but the essence of who you are could persist indefinitely. This technology would transform education as students could learn directly from preserved versions of the world's greatest teachers, scientists, artists, and philosophers. Medical knowledge could be preserved as experienced practitioners share not just their book learning, but their intuitive understanding gained through decades of practice. But let's step back from these far future possibilities and consider something more immediate: how unlimited clean energy would change the pace of human progress itself. Right now, scientific advancement is constrained by funding, which is ultimately constrained by energy costs. Research facilities have limited budgets for running experiments, operating equipment, and processing data. With unlimited energy, these constraints evaporate. Every university could operate research facilities that rival today's most advanced laboratories. High school students could conduct experiments that currently require graduate-level resources. Citizen scientists could pursue investigations that today only institutions can afford. The democratization of research capabilities would accelerate discovery exponentially. Instead of a few thousand researchers working on energy-intensive problems, we could have millions of people exploring questions limited only by their curiosity and creativity. Medical research would advance at unprecedented speeds. Drug discovery, which currently takes decades and billions of dollars, could be accelerated through unlimited computational modeling and continuous experimentation. Personalized medicine could become standard as the energy costs of genetic analysis and custom treatment development become negligible. Mental health treatment could be revolutionized through immersive therapeutic environments. Depression, anxiety, and trauma could be addressed using energy-intensive therapies involving controlled environments, light therapy, and virtual reality experiences that are currently too expensive for widespread use. Let's talk about something that touches every human being: the complete transformation of aging and healthcare. With unlimited energy, we could operate medical equipment that's currently too expensive for routine use. Magnetic resonance imaging could become as common as blood pressure checks. Genetic therapy could be available to everyone rather than reserved for the wealthy. Preventive medicine would advance dramatically as continuous health monitoring becomes economically feasible. Wearable devices could run sophisticated analyses of your biological systems in real time, predicting health issues before symptoms appear. Early intervention could become the norm rather than the exception. Regenerative medicine would flourish with unlimited power for tissue cultivation, organ printing, and cellular therapy production. Growing replacement organs could become routine rather than experimental. Aging itself might transition from inevitable decline to manageable condition. But here's something even more profound. Unlimited, clean energy would change our relationship with time itself. Right now, we optimize for efficiency because energy costs create time pressures. With abundant energy, we could prioritize quality over speed, craftsmanship over mass production. Manufacturing could shift from high-speed production lines to careful, precise creation processes. Products could be built to last centuries rather than years. The throwaway culture driven by energy efficiency requirements could give way to heirloom quality in everything from clothing to electronics. Artisanal production could compete with industrial manufacturing when energy costs no longer determine economic viability. Handcrafted goods could be produced using energy-intensive tools and processes that enhance rather than replace human skill and creativity. From desalinating oceans to terraforming Mars, from preserving human consciousness to eliminating energy poverty forever, unlimited clean energy represents the ultimate transformation of human civilization. We're not just talking about cheaper electricity bills. We're talking about removing the fundamental constraint that has limited human potential throughout our entire history. The question isn't whether this future will arrive, but whether we'll be ready to embrace the abundance that awaits us.